Thanks for tuning in to Wine at 9. This is our weekly wine night discussion. Grab a bottle of wine, grab some friends. Feel free to follow along and discuss the same things that we're talking about tonight. I am your host, Jerry Joseph. This is Jen Joy. And then over here, we also have KG. Jen Joy will be kicking off our wines tonight. Jen Joy?
Yeah, so Jerry Joseph has Benzinger Cabernet. I have Kendall Jackson Vinters Reserve Merlot. KG has Vintage Cabernet Sauvignon.
All right.
Eat it.
All right.
So tonight we are toasting to Katie Boatwright. Our friend Katie Boatwright has suggested that we toast to
Friendship.
Katie. What are we toasting to?
Gratitude for friends.
Gratitude for friends.
Gratitude for friends. I toasted that.
All right, definitely. I'm grateful for our friend Katie.
Katie.
Yes, what a surprise visit. A good one at that.
Love you guys.
All right, let's get into it.
Definitely better than my one I had last week. Definitely better. Another Cali Cab. I'm really starting. They got a spot with me now, man. I'm gonna have to see what's up. With this one in particular, though, a blackberry, it definitely pops out. It's more on the rustic side, so it's the flavors are pretty rich and deep. But it's not too acidic. It's really good. Heavy body. No complaints on my part.
Yeah. What would you rate it?
I give it about a 4.
4. All right. I think is that not the highest?
For the record, yeah.
That's the
On a
highest
0 to
you've
5,
given
I give it, huh?
Is that the highest rating?
You know
think
what?
so, right?
I don't think so. No.
No?
Something got higher. We'll go back and check into that, but I know it's up there, but I don't think it's the highest though. We'll look into it though.
Okay.
Before I stand on that.
Was this another gas station wine?
It was. You can actually get this one for about $7.
Nice.
All right. So it definitely validates that. I mean, for 4, yeah, it's a good deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great rating for a gas station wine.
And for $7 of that size?
That's a
bottle.
big.
It's a lot of wine.
Just
Yeah.
you guys look compared to ours, like huge.
I get that a lot. All right. What about you, Jen? How do you feel about your wine tonight?
Mine is pretty smooth, dry, a good dry Merlot. I'm enjoying it. Has a really good aroma to it. I can't really pinpoint what that might be, but it smells very nice. For this wine, Kendall Jackson is a little bit, it's a little cheaper, but on the higher end of that. So this was about like a $22 bottle. This I would pair with a bacon wrapped filet with some blue cheese crumbles on top.
Okay.
A house salad on the side with some vinaigrette dressing. Maybe some mashed potatoes with butter and sour cream. That's the meal that I would put with this.
I'm actually really happy with my wine that I chose tonight. You know, here lately, I haven't found a lot of wines for the show that really match my flavor profile. But this one is easy to drink. It is very dry. It has that tannins kind of flavor that I really do enjoy. It does pack a lot of flavor in there. Maybe it's just me, like I can never like pinpoint exactly like what notes of like blackberry or dark cherry it is, but it does have a lot of flavor, and it does have that bite that I do enjoy. With this one in particular, I can see myself in a very intimate setting. You know, I definitely feel like this is something I would pair well with food, but not just food, also company. So this would be a great date night wine, but I can also see it as a great dinner with close friends or family. You know, you're just
Over
hanging out.
setting.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's not a large crowd. It's just a group of people that really know each other very well, or maybe a date night, and you're enjoying your company, your night off, and your meal together. I can see myself over a home cooked meal with this one.
I haven't tasted yours yet,
We
but
did
it's
good
giving
this
me
week.
like Christmas holiday vibes.
Oh yeah, Friendsgiving.
Oh,
it's
the
either
famous Friendsgiving.
Oh, thank you. So I'll say that yeah, it's a date night wine or a Friendsgiving kind of intimate meal setting. So
Okay, cool.
yeah, all right.
Oh, dude, we're gonna jump right into it, y'all.
Yeah, let's do it.
Parenting.
What?
Parenting. So this week's topic at hand is going to be parenting, man. Our complete outlook on it. I happen to be a parent to a biological child of 9 years. My heart and soul. I feel strongly on certain things about parenting, considering, my situation growing up, and then also experiences that I've had in my endeavor in terms of being a parent myself. You know what? Let me just jump straight into it. I'm curious.
Yeah.
The concept of spanking your child. Where does that sit with y'all?
Absolutely not.
You leave.
Ever.
Ever?
Yeah, I'm just
Ever?
I'm hardcore about it. No. I feel like spanking is I want maybe not barbaric as a term, but it is very simple-minded, emotionally driven, and ineffective in the long run. You might be able to, change your child's behavior for a few minutes, maybe a couple hours, but overall, I don't think it has long-lasting effects. And I think there are far better and more effective ways to discipline your child than spanking. I'm absolutely against spanking, 100%. What about you, Jen?
So I agree with what you said, that it's kind of outdated. Effective, I'm kind of on the fence about that, because personally I was spanked as a child. Now my mom and I go back and forth about like how much I was spanked. To me it seems like I was spanked a lot, but she's like, no, your dad only did it like 3 times. But I was very afraid of the physical punishment, and she had that leverage over me. So but I don't think that I grew up any differently than I would have had I not been spanked. I think that my relationship with my dad might have been like a little better, and recently he has admitted that he was a little hard on me growing up.
Okay.
Which has actually been really comforting to me, and knowing that he's kind of come to terms with that and been able to admit it. So I think I'm on the fence about spanking, because I agree with you. It is emotionally driven. I think that it's for parents who are just worn out and frustrated, and the only solution is to just physically punish.
Inflict pain on their child. What about you, KG?
Well, all right, okay. So
how do you feel about it? Are you spanker?
Wait, question.
Non-spanker?
Do you spank your child?
I am willing to. I don't have to for the most part, but I have in the past. But I'm not above it. So the way I look at it, like what y'all was saying, to me, you have to have the capacity to spank your child, and if it's emotionally driven, then that's the worst case scenario. That's a parent that's kind of abusing
Yes, I agree.
parenthood. But I do think if you truly are a good parent, I equate that with somebody who has the willingness to spank, because I don't look at spanking as something that's like, at the end of the day, most people got spanked. That's the reality. Like, it's not, and I look at the ratio of children that didn't get spanked to those that did, and the extreme of how bad things can get when your parents they refuse to spank, and it's like, I'll live with that. If whatever negative consequences come from me having a willingness to spank, I'll live with that. Because like in my mind, I truly am doing the right thing. It's like I'm showing them that yes, discipline is. I'm willing to discipline you to the utmost level.
Yeah.
I guess the reason I say that is because I trust my own intent. It's to better them.
Yeah.
You're not the only parent there in your scenario. The mother of your child, does she spank?
Yes, more than me.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not even close. Yeah,
Yeah. For our audience who have never met your daughter, you have an incredible child. Like, your child is brilliant.
I appreciate that,
and,
brother.
I mean,
I would like to think that's because we were willing to spank her with it. Look, we never once.
If we're going to be real and just raw and honest about this, a lot of my friends have kids, and if I had to just pick one for my own child, yours is probably number one. Yours, like, I have a lot of my friends have great kids, but your kid is, I mean, she's brilliant, she's smart, she's well behaved as far as I've seen.
Well, I appreciate it, bro.
You guys have done a great job.
I'm grateful for that. Well, I can definitely, I won't contribute that to an unwillingness to physically discipline her by any means, but I appreciate you saying that, man. I really believe it was because we were so adamant about, yes, if that's what's necessary, we'll do it. That kind of is why she's that way, because, I don't know, in my experience, what tends to happen is you can talk the talking route or the alternative route to really kicking your ass can only go so far. At some point, you have to show a willingness to do what's necessary. And if the child doesn't respond appropriately, I also believe you also have to hold. Listen, you could be the perfect teacher, but if you're literally the worst student, it shall matter not.
I disagree. I think a great teacher makes a great student. That's my personal belief.
Well,
where do you stand on it, Jen?
I have to disagree with you there because I think that there are great teachers who deal with students who come from like past grades and they've been acting the way that they act, and I think that a great teacher. I've had great teachers that I loved, and I still disrespected.
You're gonna do what you're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to account for the individual's will, and that's what I do. It's like I have to. My daughter, she might be. I can only control to a certain extent what she actually will become, but at the end of the day, I want to say that I at least had the courage to be like, all right, I'll do what's necessary. It's that, and that's how I look at it. It's like most people won't, because I get it. It's like you don't want to harm your child. You know that old adage, this is gonna hurt me a lot worse than it hurts you. Like I really believe that, but I have the courage to do that because ultimately the world isn't going to show the same mercy that I have the potential to, and I think that's very important. It's like at the end of the day, the world won't at all. So, and I've seen it happen many a time, man.
You're right, but you said that there's only so much control that you have. And I feel like as a parent, it's not about control of your child. It should be about guidance. So with my non-spanking route, I feel like, or non-spanking philosophy, I feel like if you take a certain road as far as discipline and parenting your child, you won't have to actually control them. You can just literally guide them and let them decide and let them choose and make the best decisions with guidance, not through control. And that's why I don't think spanking and I don't think that is the most effective way to do it.
To me that's a little idealistic, because you could take a horse to water, but what can you not do?
Yeah,
you can't make them drink it.
So how would you discipline your child?
So actually, for those who don't know, I actually dated a girl, and she had twin girls. We dated when the twins were 4 months old, and we dated until they were like 4.5 years. And so, even though they weren't my biological children, early on, my ex and I knew that we have to be on the same page as far as disciplining and parenting the girls were concerned, and we both agree that spanking isn't effective. So for us, consistency was far more important. How you punish or discipline your child if they're like misbehaving, that can go a lot of different ways. But as long as you're consistent and you're consistent always, we felt like that was a more important thing. And so for us, we chose to the twins were terrified of a Burger King Halloween mask, so we would say, hey, don't make me go get Burger King. For my ex, she would literally tell them, hey, stop doing this or you're gonna go to timeout. She'd put them in timeout. For me, I took a more almost stoic kind of approach to it. I would snap my fingers, and if I snapped, you already knew, like, that's it. That's your final warning. That's your first and final warning. After that, you're gonna go to timeout. You're gonna be disciplined, restricted from whatever. But you have no more chances, and there's no leeway whatsoever. So for me, I would just snap my finger. They would know, okay, time to stop doing whatever we're doing. And it was very important for us to actually talk to them and tell them that this is what you're doing and this is why it's not okay.
So out of the research that I've done,
Communication, that's critical too. I get what you're saying, yeah.
yeah. So with the research that I've done about like from I think it's the American Academy of Pediatrics, they made a list of the top 10 best ways to discipline your child. 2 of them were communication and consistency, which I do believe. I think that you guys were so successful with that because you started at an early age, and they grew up knowing that this is bad. Now,
Wait, can you snap?
I can not like not loud.
Okay, that's cool. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that we got that out the way, I think consistency is key because, as a child, you grow up and you know, like, okay, if I do this, this is my consequence.
Yeah.
And if you don't want that, then you know better how to behave. So.
How many people do you think spank? In 2021, obviously times have changed. When our parents were in school, they got spankings from
At
the teachers
school,
at school. And now that it's 2021, what do you think? What do you think?
I'd imagine there's been an extreme decline in that number.
Yeah.
That's not based in some type of like people having some like revelation and like it's wrong to spank. That's just
It's not wrong.
That's
it's
just
not
people getting on that
effective.
ass. Yeah, like
It's not as effective.
I'm for real, dude. Like it's
Do you know how many people spank nowadays, percentage wise?
What I'm reading says that they think that less admit to it, so it's a hard statistic because it is so publicly.
Wait, I can hear it. What? One more time?
What I'm reading says that they think that it's severely underrated because it's so publicly and discouraged by different academics. So what I am saying is that they say very low percentage. But like Jim was saying, the American Academy of Pediatrics has put out actual policies, which is like 67,000 doctors are represented and are supposed to follow these policies. But interestingly enough, along with discouraging spanking and corporal punishment, they also say the same warning against using humiliating, scary, or threatening.
That's funny.
Okay. So I'm not saying that my methods were going to be perfect.
But it sounds like they're pretty close.
They were. First of all, they were pretty close. You hear about the terrible twos.
I said they were pretty close. It sounds like they're
Close
pretty
to
close.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh well, thank you.
That's what I said.
thought so. Okay.
Hold
Sure.
on. That's based on just your perspective. She doesn't know like
They were angry.
you know the irony in that.
You think
She
your
could say
kids-
that,
you
but
think-
you know my daughter personally. You've seen her grow, and for you to make the statement that you did to open that up, that's not because I alluded spanking her. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's like I got spanked, she got spanked.
I'm gonna say
Even
this.
you got spanked, correct?
Yeah, you're right. I would say that if I had to choose one of my friend's kids to adopt, yours would be first. But if you're going to ask me who is more well behaved, your child or my
the twins?
twins, it'd be the twins all day, every day. No competition.
That sample body was extremely limited though, because you like that's the thing. And I'm not saying this was putting this on you, but that's still a smaller sample body. It's like you had them for a more limited time. And it's like a lot of times kids don't even reach a certain like as they get older, once you get out of the toddler stage, the parenting job is showing even more, man. In the preteens, the adolescents, and on. It's like, I still got my work cut out. You know what I mean? But the foundation for you to make that statement, just understand, like we're not. I think we can easily see where each other is coming from, but our means and methods are just different. I'm willing to go to certain extremes that you aren't, but I'm coming more from a standpoint of not ideology, but actually more of wisdom, man. It's like reactionary wisdom. Most people that I know that got spanked, they have some sense of like they're grounded by that shit, man.
Grounded? How? You were spanked, right?
Yes.
Jen? I was spanked.
Can I give you a statistic? This is an interesting statistic. It says that
She's new. She's good. You good, baby. Go ahead.
in 2017, the amount of parents who said they spanked but this is more so preschool age, but it was 39%. So 39% of parents admitted to it in 2017. However, another figure says that 85% of youth have said that they were physically punished. So the definition may vary on spanking and corporal punishment, but what that's showing is that a lot more people said they were spanked than parents admit to spanking. Also, the American Pediatrics article and the policy that they were discussing cited a 2009 study that showed that it was a study of 23 young adults who had repeated exposure to harsh corporal punishment found reduced gray matter volume in an area of the prefrontal cortex that is believed to play a crucial role in social cognition.
I can see that being true because I actually do suffer from social anxiety per my psychiatrist.
So you feel like being spanked as a child had that
Oh,
negative
I
effect?
have no idea, but I'm just saying that I can
Oh
see
man, I was
that.
about to say, y'all stupid to this level, man. There are there are so many factors that go into a person's psychological makeup, man.
Agreed, but that's got to have a heavy influence on it.
I think it does, just a little bit.
Spanking? Y'all are joking, right?
No.
All right.
For
No,
real.
seriously, because you don't understand the mental. Okay, do you remember being a kid being spanked?
Yes, I do, and I'm gonna
And
tell
maybe
you,
it's
in that
different
moment,
between male and female.
possibly we'll look into that actually.
You were spanked until what
but
age?
I doubt it.
Probably till I was 11.
11? What about you, KG? Spanked until what time?
Officially,
Like, age?
about 15.
Damn.
16.
How did that not have a
Someone brings in high
psychological?
school. He's like,
He's got a flirt.
Nah,
Flirt birthday.
wait, I'm there. Well, I'm defining spanking in a very loose.
No, I was talking about, did you get that ass?
No, I mean, okay, so a belt to my ass for the last time. Actually, it might have been 15. I think my mother tried. No, for real. And I was like, no, Mom, what you doing? I was very rebellious about that.
I can drive a car.
all right, sorry, go ahead. So you were 15. Yeah?
No, I do remember the last time she actually physically struck me in a matter of discipline. That was at least, that was about 15.
So for me, I think I was like anywhere between 9 and 11. And I remember, for some reason, there's a digital watch that I wanted. And I saved up, I think like the $9 it cost for me to buy this watch, which is a lot of money for a kid at that age. I bought this watch and it was my prized possession. I got in trouble. I don't even know what for. My dad pulled out a belt and he was spanking me, whooping me. He was giving me a whoop. And I swear to God, he hit my watch. And I remember like in that split second, I thought, oh no, did he break it? Is it broken? Am I going to have to buy another one? And my focus shifted from the pain that I was receiving to, whether or not my investment was broken and damaged. And for the rest of that whooping, I didn't cry. I didn't make a sound. I literally just stopped from screaming and I just stood there and just waited. I was like, whenever you're done, I got to check on my watch. And I think he understood that this inflicting physical pain on your child no longer is a viable option here. And so from that point on, he had to think of a new way to discipline me. And I think that a lot of people right now just don't take the time to think about that. They think, I got spanked as a child, I'm gonna spank as an adult. I'm okay. I'm a fine person. I'm gonna just keep the tradition alive without putting any more thought into it. But I think that once you take that out of the equation and you have to think about a new way to discipline your child, you can find better ways to do it.
Well, I think now with technology being so prevalent in kids today, kids get their tablets taken away. And they hate that,
I got my Nintendo taken away and I hated that.
Yeah, so I think that there are new ways of punishing, and I know that for my nephew specifically, they get no electronics, okay? No games, no electronics.
You give me 10 minutes without electronic, I'm like, oh, no internet, it's done.
Yeah, so I think that's a big thing for my nephews. Also, they do physical labor. So I remember when they were young, before they even had electronics, they were like, go dig a hole in the yard and go dig or go do something, which I thought was really cool, really effective. And they're really good because they're so good that when they are without electronics, if we babysit them, and I'll say, here's my phone, they'll say, No, we're not allowed to have electronics. And it's so, yeah, it's
That's
really,
great.
they're so well behaved, y'all. It's impressive. They've done a good job with those kids.
We've done a great job of defending our beliefs in discipline. I think that let's go ahead and argue the counterpoint for the other side. But I think that we should do that after we exchange wines, because we haven't tasted each other's wines. So you guys want to?
Sure.
You guys want to go ahead and do that now?
Yeah.
I want to try yours. Definitely, yours sounds really good.
Best spot.
All right, you guys ready to cheers?
Yep.
All right, so what are we gonna cheers to this time? Oh, you know what? Let's cheers to to our friends who have actually given us great feedback, watched our show. So that's Bill, Sam, Bondi, Sarah.
Darren, my boy Mike Dunbar. I love you, brother.
Anyone you know?
My friend Mary has watched. Some of my friends from work, so thank you, ladies. I appreciate it.
We cheers to you guys.
Yeah.
Amanda,
Cheers to all
JT,
of
T
you.
Mac.
Oh yeah.
we
Also,
really, we
Katie
appreciate
Boatwright.
y'all.
Katie Boatwright, thank
cheers
you.
to Katie.
All right, let's go.
Oh my God, this don't even smell right.
Who's that?
It's mine.
Yeah. Wow. And this is gonna sound weird, but this is very Merlot-ish. Like this is textbook Merlot. Not quite as.
He means fruitalicious.
It is fruitalicious, but yeah, you're right. It is definitely more fruit forward. Just a tiny bit sweeter. Not quite as dry. It's like literally one step down from what I would expect a cab to be.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, a lot of tannins here. And I'm picking up on the cherry. Let me look at this real quick.
This
This
smells like
isn't
some
that bad.
food.
Huh?
This smells like some food. I can't put my finger on it. This smells like food.
I'm digging yours. Oh, wait, which ones? You must have KGs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, who do you? Now
There we go.
I'm starting to get
That
lost.
was,
All right, I feel like this is definitely yours.
I'm pretty sure at this.
It
Yeah,
is,
we've
right?
tried them
You
all
smell
at this
it, right?
point. Oh wow! Look, fingernail polish.
This is very acidic. This
No
is-
joke. I'm
Yeah, it smells like
I'm
fingernail
not
polish,
joking.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very acidic. I am not liking this at all.
You need more, friend. Let me pour it up for you.
Please do. Please do. I need to
Slight
cleanse my palate after.
More heavy.
That one is
Yeah.
acidic.
This one-
Yours tastes acidic and just
The way it smells.
gas
just-
station-y.
Yeah. Smells like gas station
I'll let you
snacks.
take care of that one, man.
Yeah, it tastes like some of those wrap snacks, you know. Wrap snacks with a wine. Yeah.
You can't mention
yeah.
rap snacks at wine and nine, man.
Yeah.
What the heck, man?
All right. Oh, back to myself. All right, good. So
All right.
I'm against spanking, and you're for spanking. And Jen, one more time, kind of iffy. So
I don't have kids, by the way. For anybody that doesn't know me, I have no kids. The only kids that I monitor at all are my 3 precious, well-behaved little nephews. Every now and again, because the older 2 will do the, they hit me, I'm like, I'll call your mom, but that's what I do. But they know that if I call mom, then they have to do.
That's a great
physical
segue
labor.
into another point, man.
yeah, because she has no kids.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually raised kids that weren't biologically my own, and you have a biological child.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the closest I'll have to a child.
Yeah, I have a dog, so that's it. You do co-parent, but what do you think it would be like as a single parent? Or do you think I'm sorry, but do you think that also not just being a single parent, do you think that cultural differences have a lot to do with how we discipline our children?
It does, because in here, first of all, the concept of a blended family, actually, I appreciate it and I value it. Anytime somebody steps up and because family is important, bonds are important, but that's not the ideal version. So it just so happens like my child participates in a blended family, and at the end of the day, it forces a certain level of compromise that I don't think is natural. It's like ideally man, woman, and children that you have, but relationships aren't working out at a certain rate, and it's
Yeah.
like that's a reality that I'm facing. I always take into account if I'm dealing with a woman on any level, if she's got a kid, the father of that child, I have this innate respect for, even if he's not present. I firmly believe like it's a bloodline thing. It's like I know that what makes a father isn't necessarily genes, but it's like it's always going to be a part of who you are. So it's like I respect the same way. Listen,
I agree with that. Yeah.
So for me, no matter how much I am or am not there, I care about my daughter in a way to where like if anybody, and I do mean anybody, causes her bodily harm, that is something I'm going to address. So it's like I actually get that. So most people might not concede that, and I see that in our culture a lot. You know, if we equate being a parent to time spent, but I take everything into account. So actually, it makes me empathize with people that kind of aren't in the situation, but you still give a fuck about your child. And people are quick to write people off, but I'm like, in the back of my mind, it's like, well, to be a single parent, that's a really complicated situation because that goes hand in hand with how adept you were at making a relationship work to begin with. And it's like, that's a complicated, whole another realm.
I wonder how many single parents there are now compared to like maybe there were when we were growing up. I feel like that's something I see a lot more.
I would imagine that number is dwindled.
Yeah, I think it's.
Wait,
I'm sorry, no, increase. I apologize.
Single parents. I would imagine they have increased.
That's not a good thing, man.
I've got some numbers from the Pew Research Center. This is pewresearch.org. The title of the article, this is published in 2019, says the U.S. has the world's highest rate of children living in single-parent households. That is about 130 countries and territories studied, U.S. having the highest rate. It says almost a quarter of U.S. children under the age of 18 live with one parent and no other adults. And it says most of that is single mothers. Only a small percentage being single fathers, about 7%.
I grew up with both of my parents.
Me too.
Active. Mm-hmm. Same for you. And if I'm not mistaken, you're a single mother, right?
It's complicated. I say single parent household because I had stepfathers, but I promise you, there's just on a more of a spiritual level, it's something that's a little different. If you're not the biological mother or father to somebody, there's that little difference, man. It's like you're not going to care as much. You're going to care, but you're not going to care as much as what you would if it was your own flesh and blood.
I disagree respectfully and not wholeheartedly, but I will say I disagree in the fact that if you step into that role at a young enough age, there is no difference. I totally agree with you. If you're trying to raise or co-parent a non-biological child at age 8 versus 8 months. I feel like there's a difference. So.
Well, you know what? And I'm going to let y'all speak, but I just thought about something. It makes sense that you would feel that way. But I think that's more of an egotistical way of looking at it. That child's going to get older, and they potentially might have questions. And those will have to be answered at some point.
Absolutely.
Mommy, daddy, how did I get... You know what I mean? And it's almost like, are you going to lie to the child? For me personally, it's not worth it, man. Because then we're lying to ourselves. It's almost like...
Oh, sorry.
No, your mom and dad didn't work it out, but I stepped in, I filled that role and such and such and such, but that's still going to make them feel some type of way because I always say that...
I disagree. I disagree because my brother had a biological dad that's still in his life, but my dad raised him. And my brother was more attached to my dad than I was. When my dad left my mom, my brother made more of a fuss about it than I did. So much so that we actually got in like physical fights about it. My brother and I did.
Wow.
Yeah. My dad raised my brother. My dad actually recently remarried, and I now have a stepbrother and a stepsister, and from what I hear from my new family is that my dad's more of a dad to them than their dad has ever been. So my dad's played a dad role. I'm his only child, but he's played a dad role in now 3 other children's lives.
And I feel like there's like an innate part of you that is or is not a parent. For me, it's as a male, it's easier to see in other male. I have friends that I've always known they're going to be a great dad, even before they had kids, and then after they had kids, I'm like, yo, you proved me right. You're a great dad. I don't know where I was going with that because I've been drinking. I don't know where I was going with that, but
Cheers
I
to
stand
that,
by
friend.
it. I stand by it. Well, let's take a moment. I want to say that your child is really, really amazing. Like she's incredible. But I also have a lot of friends who have amazing kids, and a lot of my friends are actually like really amazing parents. You know, I was actually on the phone with my friend Sarah, my soul friend Sarah, and I was lucky enough to hear her have a conversation with her daughters and her husband about, you know, something that was going on with her family, just, you know, normal day-to-day family stuff, and how she addressed the situation. She's also not a spanker, but she talked to her kids as if they were adults, and, you know, looked at everything very objectively, and you can tell, like, through her words, she was promoting a good, healthy, and emotional growth and balance in her children. I thought that was so amazing. Like, I thought to myself, and I told her, you're such an amazing mom. Like, I love my mom, but I would be honored to have a mom like you. So I just want to give a
That's
shout out to
very sweet.
all my friends who are incredible parents.
Sarah, we love you, girl.
Yeah, always.
No, I understand, brother.
All of my friends that have children their children are babies, except for
Yeah.
my friend Gabby. She's the older ones, but I haven't been around them recently. But she is a good mom as well. So I think that this new generation, our generation and the newer generation, I think that we do have a lot to learn from our parents and from society in general. So I think that we are getting to a point to where we're all kind of getting in the vibe of being a good parent. And
I think we have a lot to learn from them if we choose to do so. And it's one of the things I don't like about spanking is that a lot of us think we're good people. And like, hey, you know, I was spanked as a child. I'm a good person. It must work. I'll just carry on the tradition without putting a lot of thought into it. And I feel like there are a lot of other ways that you can be a great parent. If nothing else, you can actually build on what your parents, you know, gave you and how they raised you, and you can actually do better. I think a lot of parents don't challenge themselves to be better parents than the parents they had.
I think that once you are raised in a household where you do have the physical discipline, that's really all you know, so that you kind of pass that down to your children as well.
Yeah, for me, physical wasn't the most scary thing. You know, I used to get whoopings. You know, I used to get spankings, but I think we can probably all relate to this. Nothing was worse than when, you know, my mom was like, all right, I'm going to call your dad, and he's at work. You know? I'm going to call your dad, he's at work, and he's like, wait till I get home. And I'm just like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm fucked. I'm absolutely fucked.
Well, you know
When
what?
your
Let
dad
me be
is-
honest now. It's funny you say that. I actually can't relate to that, and I think that's what drives my point home. It's like I didn't meet a true semi-father figure until I was of the age of I was still in this dude's porn. Pouring
Yeah, I remember
out of
that last episode, yeah.
the last episode, man. But it's the truth. So what happens is, sometimes I try to fathom who I might have been had somebody just been there that was my biological. So when you make it work, this is why I feel like relationships are very important. When you make it work with the person that you actually created seed with, you almost serve as a representative for what can happen when the opposite sexes come into harmony. And I think that's extremely important because relationships, just like life, isn't always about personal happiness or joy. It's like there's also responsibility in that. So with my daughter, I notice this all the time, and I battle with this. So I'm using her as an example. In my past relationship, I had to grow in terms of understanding. You know what? I still want to be a good father to the best of my ability. But God damn, what would have happened had I been the type of man that was like, you know what? Making my family work is the most important thing in my life. And I think that's so important. A lot of people get away from responsibility. So when we talk about like spanking kids, it all boils down to that same thing, man. Like there's a greater good that you have to address. It's not always about personal fulfillment. I think that's so important, man. Like it's about what's best for the community, and then even beyond that, the greater good, the collective overall.
But I feel like you've had an opportunity to actually take some time to yourself to think about those things, and I think a lot of parents nowadays don't. They don't think, and they just say, "Hey, it worked. My parents did it. I'm gonna do it." Sure.
It scares me because but I also say I've seen a lot of friends go on the worst end of that, and it's like that's what bothers me, man. Like, okay, all right, to put it the best way, man. The state of America actually disturbs me because like that's what like you have to like tend to your own first. So it's like we're getting so far away from the morals that really held everything together. It's like I contributed all to that. It's like at the end of the day, all of it matters, bro. It's like you can't get away from morality in a nutshell. I don't know if y'all really know what I mean, but it's almost like when you have if you know like you know right from wrong, man. It's like we just do this thing.
Fit in parenting. Jen, what do you think about that?
I think it's individual based, like individual family based. I think that like you mentioned earlier, that with parents with co-parenting, you have to be consistent.
Very consistent.
So I think that it's up to just depends on the family, because as we mentioned earlier, I don't know if we really delved into it. I don't think we did, but well, you kind of did because your daughter's biracial, so she has two kind of different cultures that her parents stem from. But there's a lot of factors to it: cultural, geographical, and individual based. So I think that an important part of parenting, which like I said, I don't know because I'm not a parent. I don't co-parent. Never even been close to a stepmom. So it's really hard for me to say, but from the outside looking in, it kind of seems like it's just individual based. I think that couples.
I want to ask you something. You had the twins, right?
Yeah.
And you two co-parented. What was the fine line in which, all right, this is right or this isn't wrong? Because you have in your whatever your system of values might be, it's like hers isn't going to match exactly to what yours is. Where did you ever put your foot down? If it was like this compromising thing,
yeah.
It's almost like you as a person, where did you actually say, you know what, man? Because actually, what's funny? You would have had that option a little bit more than somebody who said that was a biological. Mm-hmm. In fact, to be quite honest, I know how much you love the twins personally. So my thing is, had those actually been your own kids, that fight with you, there would still be a fight, an ongoing fight as they get older. And it's like, where do you draw that line? And it's like, that's what bothers me, because I don't even like the dilemma of being put in that situation. In an ideal situation, I'm to the point now in life, I don't even believe in dating. It's like the marriage, it's the end all be all, because I have a kid and I know how important it is to have that stability, that strong moral foundation for everything. But like when you're dealing with another individual,
I will say that at that stage of my life, I was a very immature and just straight up shitty person.
I commend you for it.
Just straight up, I was. But one thing that really that I really excelled at, and that she excelled at as well, is that we were great at parenting. We had a great understanding of where our morals and our values were, and the roadmap to where we wanted to get as parents and as a family. That I cannot argue that she was, and probably still is, an incredible, phenomenal mother. Just putting that out there. We understood where we wanted to go, how we wanted to discipline them, and even if the other person wasn't there, we would know where they were, where they would want to happen, how they wanted to happen. And we reached an understanding, and we had incredible consistency, which I think consistency, whether you spank or not, I personally won't spank. And if you do, I'm not gonna call you a shitty person. You're not a piece of shit. I'm not gonna say that. I don't think that. Whatever you decide to do, be consistent in it. If you're gonna spank, be consistent. If you're not gonna spank, be consistent. We were on the same page, and I think that that's what really made things work so efficiently. in that. I don't know if that's answering your question.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask you was like, okay, what if she wasn't there? How would you handle the situation? But you just answered my question, so
Yeah.
that's cool. That's great, especially on your part for someone that isn't even a biological father. That's good.
And that's a good question for KG too, is like being a single parent, how does that affect your role as a disciplinarian, especially when you talk about consistency, when you don't really have a say-so?
It's a necessary evil as a human being, because it's no different than like, so, and okay, for example, not to make it about this, but like he's atheist, and I consider myself to be a religious individual, but there's this thing to where like there's a healthy respect because he is consistent and I'm consistent. There's this compromise that it's a constant thing where like, so it puts me in that situation. The mother of my child is very different from me, but for the sake of something greater than us, we both do that. And I think that's what all about. It's understanding, respect, love, ultimately. So my thing is like, when it comes to kids, I guess, I don't know. I care about, like, I see kids for what they actually are. When it comes to spanking, it's almost like, dude, they'll get over that shit. Most do. But the further we get away from like actually seeing spanking is something that's like, once you stop the normal, it scares me a little bit, to be honest, man, because people need structure.
You can have structure, but you don't have to inflict physical harm to have structure. You know, you may think that the best way to raise a child or to discipline a child is through inflicting bodily harm on them, to inflict pain by
Not the
spanking
best
them.
way, but you can't say I'm incapable of hitting my child for the sake of some ideal that doesn't measure up to
I'm not
reality.
saying that you're incapable. I'm just saying that you can. There's better ways. There's a reason why when you go to prison, or if you go to in-school suspension, if you go to timeout, if you go to actual prison with rapists and murderers and thieves and stuff, the worst that our society has, you're surrounded by them. The worst that they can do is to actually lock you into solitary confinement by yourself, instead of inflicting bodily harm and giving you lashes or giving you a whooping or a spanking, whatever, or whipping you. There are better, more effective ways to do it. So that's all I'm saying. You can do it, but there are better ways to do it.
Closing thoughts.
What?
Closing thoughts.
Awesome.
Our
Yeah,
closing
it's like,
thoughts?
yes, I heard you,
Okay.
baby. You good.
Maybe our audience didn't hear you. Say it again.
Closing thoughts.
Okay. Who's gonna kick off our closing
No, I'm
thoughts?
saying your closing
Yeah, but who's gonna kick it off? Who's gonna start our closing thoughts?
Who would you like to?
You're the audience. You tell us. Pick one of us.
Okay. Have any of you been convinced against the feelings that you had going into this conversation? Have you? Is there anything this conversation or otherwise that could convince you, or is discipline something that you, as Jen said, you're raised one way, you're set in your ways?
So I actually was raised and was, had been spanked, and it's kind of funny to joke about in my adult life, and I see that as a pattern within my friends. But talking with Jerry Joseph about this topic, I have kind of leaned more towards his understanding. So it's kind of changed my viewpoint in that aspect, where, I do think that collectively, newer parents, we need to work together to not physically punish our children, because there are different ways. I think that society in general kind of needs to come together and think of something a little bit better that we can all agree.
Yeah, look at me like, he's waiting his turn. All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, so I'm a big football fan, and they did this thing where they became more conscious of how to strip out the physicality for football. I promise you, man.
Yeah, I agree.
And I see, I'm like,
yeah.
You're taking away from what it actually even means to play football. If you let everybody else tell it, man, you just put everybody in a bubble. And oh my God, the most apparent. So, like, I've really been observant to how the COVID situation has unfolded. And I realize most people don't actually understand what it means to live. It's like danger is a part of life. That is what I'm not afraid of. It's like, I mean, it is easy to say that with somebody else, especially somebody like with my daughter, but I apply the same logic to me. it'd be different if I look back. I don't look back on getting spanked as a negative thing. It's like I really feel like I should have gotten spanked more because the more in my and I'll cut this quick. In my personal experience, the more disciplined of an individual that you are, it really sets you up for true advancement in life, and I believe that. So why not start there early in the home with the willingness to like backhand the shit out of you if you say the wrong thing? I'm all about it. Now I don't do this shit to my daughter, by the way, but I'm not gonna sit here and be like, oh no, I won't spank a child. No, like I had to pluck her in the head one time. She was talking about. I was like, don't do that, and it was like it came so natural, and she instantly got it. Like now, it's somewhere down the line, 50 years
like
down the line, she have an
finger.
aneurysm or whatever. You know what? Not speaking that in it, but it's like, you know what? I still don't regret it.
Yeah.
I love her. I want her to know, like, you have to respect people.
Yeah.
Because that's going to
it's
go
like
along.
snapping a finger. That's all I'm going to say. You know,
This dude, he going.
That's his
right.
closing thought.
But
Is
no.
this right
Go
here?
ahead. We all
I'll
live.
go ahead and say this. Is that I'm hardcore about being a non-spanker, and I feel like there are far better and more effective ways to discipline and parent your child. I will say that after this conversation tonight, I definitely understand where you're coming from, and though I don't agree anymore with you on your side of spanking, I think that this conversation has helped me take a step back to realize that whether or not you spank or don't spank, whichever one is more effective or less effective isn't as important as the understanding of both parents, or if you're the only parent, your understanding of what it takes to discipline and parent your child and the consistency of that discipline. We may disagree, we may not see eye to eye, we may be indifferent on the methods in which we do discipline, but I think that we all agree that consistency is one of the most important things. Whatever road you choose to take, stay on that road. I'm glad we talked about this. I hope that we can all like reevaluate and just give a second thought to how we parent, how we discipline, and what that means for not just our generation, but our generations coming. Yeah.
For the record, I will bust a kid ass, man. That's not changing. I love y'all, man.
All right. So thank you to all of our friends who've given us feedback and criticism on our show.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to comment and subscribe. Comment below what you would like for us to cheers to next week.
And
Thanks
the wine.
for reviewing. Oh yeah. Recommend some wines for us.
We'll drink whatever.
Will we? Speak for yourself.
Apparently.
I'll drink
I'm just kidding.
whatever red Cabernets that you
Yeah, make
recommend.
sure you suggest a good Cabernet.
All right. Thanks, guys. Have a good night.